An escalation in the Caribbean by the U.S. military. The USS Gerald Ford, which is the newest and most sophisticated aircraft carrier in the Navy, has now moved into the Latin American region, increasing a military buildup that we've seen, increasing tensions with Venezuela. The Pentagon confirming the Gerald Ford has arrived, saying in a statement it would help to disrupt narcotics trafficking and degrade and dismantle transnational criminal organizations. President Trump ordered the deployment of the carrier last month. It had been in the Mediterranean. It's now in the Caribbean. The U.S. military has carried out close to 20 strikes against what it calls drug vessels in the Caribbean and off the coast of Latin America, but has provided no proof of that. Human rights groups and lawyers have said what the U.S. is doing is illegal. They are targeting people without any proof. So far, close to 80 people have been killed. The dictator in Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, says this is all about trying to drive him out of power, and we do know the U.S. does seem to want Maduro out of power. They've got a $50 million bounty on his head. Let's bring in Glenn Ignazio, U.S. military expert. He's a retired Air Force Special Operations Commander, with his take on the USS Gerald Ford arriving in the region. Good to see you, Glenn. What do you think?
Good to see you, Todd. Well, that's a lot of force that's in that area. And for a lot of people that don't know, it's not just that carrier. That carrier includes a lot of missile destroyers that can attack both air and land targets, but submarines as well. So it's an incredible amount of force that is projected right there that we usually put off of certain countries for war. So that's a lot of firepower and a lot of intimidation that's down in that area.
Yeah, sort of the full force of the U.S. Navy targeting what the Trump administration says are narco-terrorists. Drug smugglers, Glenn.
Yeah, that's right. So to explain a little bit about this. So the authority for use of military force was established after 9/11 to strike terrorist targets like we've seen in Yemen, Iraq, and others. So that has been in place since then. It has been overturned. Four presidents total have used that. So once the State Department, U.S. State Department, identifies them as a terrorist organization, that use of military force is what they are using as legal premise to strike these targets. That doesn't mean it's ethical, but that's the legal aspect of this. But again, those targets on these ships are really low-level drug runners, where the important part of the laboratories and the leadership of those cartels. Those are the real targets that I think they're starting to set up for.
I mean, obviously, you're right. The controversy here is, targeting terrorists with Al-Qaeda or ISIS is one thing in war zones. Blowing up ships and boats that are said to have drug smugglers on board is another. Typically, this is handled by the U.S. Coast Guard, where these people are stopped, they're arrested, they're charged. They're not just blown out of the water and killed.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That interdiction has been done by the Coast Guard for many years. In addition, it is a change. Okay, so we have seen, and this affects Canada, it affects the United States, that this fentanyl has killed thousands of people. I think it's the #1 killer from 17 to like 25 or something. It has killed a lot of people. So, in essence, it is sort of again, not to spin it, but it is a weapon of mass destruction. It's just killing people, not as big as in one location. So I do understand that. But again, the same thing is that these are the drug runners that are low level. There are a lot of questions, as you said, about the intelligence. Personally, I feel that there is stuff that's behind there, but it's usually the sources that's either people or assets that are the sensitivity. Those are the classified parts that I have a feeling that they're not showing for that. But I hope that, again, they show that they have cause, they have the intelligence, and they're taking these targets out. But again, ethically, that doesn't mean it's right. And I think that's where people are really, really upset, and maybe they need to stop televising this.
Whether or not this is illegal, the president, Glenn, does seem interested in potentially regime change in Venezuela, getting rid of Nicolas Maduro, the dictator there, if it can be done without risking any American soldiers' lives.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now, the idea of going boots on the ground in Venezuela, I think, is definitely something that should not be on the table whatsoever. Maduro has basically employed his civilians to basically take up arms and really cause a lot of disruption in the country. So getting into the country is definitely something that wouldn't be done. However, if you take a look at it, and again, talking to a lot of my friends that are in this world, we use this type of force. We have the Air Force bombers and other strikers that are in that area. Is that I would look at it, again, if I was sitting in the seat of in the military still, I'd be looking at where are exactly these leaders, where are these laboratories, and do a pre-planned massive strike hitting all of them at once. That means it's wipe the slate, it's done, pull out of there and see what happens. That's why you have this amount of force down there. And I'm not reading the tea leaves or anything, but I think that would be something that would be on the list to do with that much firepower.
Hey, last question. Very intimidating when a U.S. aircraft carrier shows up in your neighborhood, and I wonder maybe that's also part of the point here, Glenn, to put pressure on the Maduro regime.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with this kind of, again, power, the deterrence and the intimidation is significant. I think one of the other, again, plausible approaches to this is to cause uprising within Venezuela, because honestly, it would be better for that type of uprising to overthrow a dictator like Maduro versus the U.S. or somebody else doing it. I think that would be one of the plans. But again, this is what assumptions are based on that force. What is going to be reality, we will see. But, I give you the aspects of why that force is there and what it can do, and we shall see what it plays out in the near future.
Yeah, Glenn Ignazio joining us, U.S. military expert on the Gerald Ford, the top aircraft carrier in the U.S. fleet, now arriving in the Caribbean. Thanks for this, Glenn. Always great to see you.